What agreements or rules would a safe place for Black men and or boys have?
Ooh, this is a tough question. I think, I think there has to be a space where Black men can express anger and then understand where that anger comes from, right? And so
Yeah.
it's to understand, like, all of us, no matter what, have experienced something, right, that brings up that friction, right? It brings up that fire. And so for us, it's like, where can I express that? And then where can you help? And how can you help me understand what happened so I can
Mhm.
then begin to heal and move and navigate it, you know? And so it's like, yes, like, because I think what often happens is we get told too often, and I think it's this dual process of, race and gender. We're told, don't be angry. There's a space of like, don't, I think, and maybe we men confuse it, but there's also the messaging, don't feel anger because people are afraid of your anger.
Mm.
And your anger is dangerous, right? And then no one is really helping you figure out, how do you process how you feel in a way that's healthy.
Mhm.
And then the only spaces and places we go is when we're with Black women, and then we kind of unleash that,
Mm.
because we don't know, no one is teaching us, right? Whether that's other men or what society as a whole is not teaching us, like, how do we make sense of what we're going through, right? And why does this thing trigger this reaction, cause you to feel this way, or causes you to feel this way? And then why do you think, because you feel this way, here's a certain set of behaviors you should, you do, and they may not always be the most healthiest behaviors, right? And
Right.
so I think it's like a space in which we can lay out what makes us angry, and then help us understand that anger, why it's okay to feel angry. But what's not okay is, then how do we, here's a new way of processing it that helps you feel, that's healthy for you, right?
Mhm.
And not isolating it, not bottling it up, not sucking it up, not don't feel that, not emotionally disconnecting, not putting your feelings in a bottle, because eventually you'll explode. And then what does that look like, right? So it's a place of, here's how, here's where you can express anger. Here's where we're going to help you process that anger. Here's where we're going to show you a set of behaviors that's going to help you move through that anger, right? Maybe it's not resolution, but it's really understanding, and really understanding like where that's coming from. And then maybe a few things you can do to move that forward. I think also a space though, and I think also um, there has to be a space that has a lot of reflection,
Mhm.
because, you know, us men will say some stuff, and the last thing we want, right? And yes, people should come and check it, but then also, like, where's a space for reflection to come back and say, all right, I heard you say this, but now here's these questions I got. Why is this wrong? Why is this inappropriate? Why is this whatever? I think because too often we assume that there's a minimal level of like wokeness for everybody, right? And that isn't the case for all of us across the board. Some of us have been luckier to be in certain spaces than others. And so, and a lot of that has to be done with men, I think, really coming to people, to other Black men, and saying, like, look, bro, I see you, right? I understand why you feel this way. I understand you've been taught this, right? But here's why this doesn't work. Not only just for your community, but even for yourself, right? Here's how that's damaging to you. Um, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Ooh, I was gonna say it reminds me of this clip I saw with James Baldwin and Nikki Giovanni. Have you seen that
Mhm.
clip?
I haven't.
Okay, I'll send it to you. But it's like it was really good. And then she was like, "Fake it with me. You fake it with everybody else. Fake it with me." And talk about like kind of just like how Black men present their emotions at home, and what you said about like not having any space for that. So always only having to like bring it home to
Right.
like your family, your partners, especially Black women. Like it reminded me of that.
Or your kids,
Yeah, your kids too. Yeah, and how necessary it is for community to make that space for each other to be angry, so we're not taking it out
right.
on people we love.
Yeah, and I think because we told so much, we Black men, we hear the narrative about Black male aggression and Black male anger. So in some ways, you start self censoring, you start bottling it up, right? On top of all the other self-destructive things about masculinity, men don't feel, or we're only allowed to feel a certain range of emotions, and then we're only allowed to express a certain, a even smaller set of range of emotions. And if not, you weak. So not only am I weak, then I'm also told that, these feelings that I feel are dangerous, right? And then that potent mix is just so self-destructive for us. It's so
Yeah.
self-destructive for us. Because now we're like, we view ourselves as these ticking time bombs. Because I don't have a place I can express it. I don't know how to express it in a healthy way, right? But I know all of the ways in which it's super dangerous. Because that's all the messaging I've gotten.
Ooh, yes. Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
I know this weapon that I hold, right? And that's what we're taught about our aggression and our anger. And not taught that, like, there are things that may have happened and you have a right to feel angry, but then here's how we process that, work through that, navigate that, right? Here's how you find a sense of healing. Here's how you find a sense of, you know, a self-awareness. Um, Here's how you process that so you have better relationships with not only partners, but like your kids, with your siblings, with your friends, with your parents, with your coworkers, right? Like in all these different contexts in which you show up as your whole self. Like here's the different ways you can express that, talk about that, navigate that. And so for me, that's so important. And but again, I think it for me it helped having black men in my life model that, whether it's my dad, whether it's Will, whether it's Lamar, like all these men I got to see in these various ways. Like some of them had college degrees, like I said, Dr. Lamar Shields, PhD, Will, high school diploma, but just and everything in between. And like, so seeing these men in all these different contexts and seeing the infinite number of ways in which they express that black masculinity, it just was amazing for me, and it changed my life. And I think I took for granted as a kid, because I took that as the norm and didn't realize until probably I got to college that a lot of black men didn't have those like figures and models. And so those men taught me the boundaries around like how to express myself and be safe and be authentic, you know, and and I just, and I just deeply appreciate it. It's been so influential for me.